How do you feel about earmarks and that whole thing and the history of it, how it got started, and what do you see in the future for that?
Well, I'll answer the back half first. I think the future of earmarks is going to be thin, and that's even reflected by what Senator Stevens says. But here's what I see I'm going to approach these. First off, they have to be community driven. Not by some guy bumping into you in the halls of Congress and saying, you know, I got this little project here, what I want to do. If someone bumps into me and says that, guess what we do? Not only with their project or any other project. They're going to be listed on the web so people see them. They're going to be listed who asked for them, and they're going to be listed for what they want them for. In other words, you know, is it a road, is it a bridge, is it whatever. It's going to be listed there so everyone sees what any earmark request is, because that's part of the problem. People don't know where these things come from. Who's asking for them? Why did they ask for them? But the other piece that's critical is that they must be driven from a community perspective. And not just a couple people coming down to Washington. What frustrates me, honestly, I mean, I have lobbyists working for the city that we all pay for lobbying our own senators. It doesn't make any sense. Because everyone's competing for everything and trying to get the earmark. The better decision is, as a U.S. Senator, my goal is going to be, is at least 3 groups I'll work with, because this I know they'll come from the ground up. The Municipal League, which is elected officials from all across the state, Mayor's Conference, and the state. Because one of the things I'll be working with is creating a comprehensive list that we all agree with. And those lists have to be created from the community up. Just as you do with the city capital budget, you sit in community council meetings, you talk about issues, you talk about what projects, and they move to the assembly level, they then move to the voters for approval, and then they become a project, so they're more community connected. And why is that important? Because then when I'm arguing for these earmarks, I can say, yes, not only do I support it, but the state of Alaska supports it, the community supports it, and oh, by the way, they've put this up for it, there's this amount of volunteer amount of time, there's this other revenue stream. And the example I'll give you is the legislature who just passed $300 million for a renewable energy program. Great idea. As a U.S. Senator, I would have loved to be down there helping make sure that happens. Why? Because then I get to go back to Congress and say, my legislature just put up $300 million. That's why I'm asking for whatever that number is, because I have something to balance against it. That's what we have to do with earmarks. I think in this budgetary situation this federal government's in, it's hard to say what's going to happen. It's going to be tough. But the building of infrastructure, roads, water, sewer, power, generation, transmission lines, those kinds of things are critical. And those are things I'm going to fight for, because we have an opportunity, I think, to make sure that infrastructure gets built. But it's full disclosure. People know who's asking, where it's going. Second is community driven. And third, making sure once the projects, if they're funded, you know what happened. I mean, every earmark that you hear about, you're never sure what happened. Who got it? Where'd it go? Did they spend it? So that's the idea that I have.